Yeah, let us see about node-red. So you have to install node-red for Windows. Node-red is a programmable editor where you can interconnect. It's like a wiring. You can connect hardware devices, APIs, and some of the online services. Everything you can connect using a wire, and so that in an interesting way you can connect, and so that you can develop a lot of applications. So this it's a browser-based editor actually. So let us see some few examples. Then how it is going to be very useful in IoT. That will be revealed actually. So you need to download your install node-red. So this if you follow this page, it's easy to install node.js, and then you can install node-red also. So once it is installed, you can run the node-red. You can run the node-red in the command window. You can say node-red. So it is running. So you have to see the current where the server is running. So the server is running here actually. So take this link. So in this link only you can view the server. Yeah. Now in the browser you have to paste whatever the link I copied. I pasted in one of the browser, and then I'm able to see the palette of Node-RED actually. So this is the palette of Node-RED. You can see some common block like inject. Inject will help you to inject the data, and debug will help you to debug the data. So there are so many blocks are there actually, and we have a lot of functions, some filters available. We have functions, switch, change, range, template, delay, trigger. So there are so many functions available, and we have network like MQTT, HTTP, WebSocket, TCP, UDP. So many networking is also possible, and we can make a sequence, and we can parse. We can do a parsing thing also. We can parse the HTML, JSON, and we can store also. So these are all the standard palette, and you can add the based on the requirement. Suppose you want to add a dashboard, you can add a dashboard palette. So everything will be here actually. Here, if you go here, and if you go to this manage palette, so you can install whatever you want. So search for the models. For example, you want something related to dashboard, you search for dashboard. So dashboards are there. Then you can install that. So whatever required based on the requirement, you can install. So most of the things will be available. And today let us see a small example. Let us take this inject. This inject will help us to create a data flow. So that is going to generate the data actually. So we'll take this inject, and we'll take the debug to analyze the data. It is not only to analyze it, debug will help us to display the data so that we can see the data and then analyze actually. Then it's easy to connect. You can take a wire using the mouse click, and you can connect it. So now it is a timestamp actually. Now once you are connected, you deploy that. You deploy this. Then now it is a timestamp. To see this debug window, you can open the debug window also. So this is the debug window. Now if I can generate, if I trigger this, I'm getting a message actually. So that is a timestamp. You can see the time actually. By clicking that, you can see the time. So time is so this is the time actually. And suppose if I again if I click, I'll get another time. So now the time is this 24:26:03. So the time will be changing. See, 26 become 35. 35 become 40. So that is a timestamp. And here you can make it to repeat also. You can repeat in proper interval. Every 1 second you can repeat. You can say done. And if you want to clear the window, you can use this clear log. So the display should be cleared. Again, once I deploy, now you see every 1 second the time is displayed actually. So it means this is generating the time every 1 second and sending to this message.payload, and it is displaying. And again, if you want to change that, again make the interval none. So once you done that and then deploy that, so you can clear the screen, and then for every trigger only it will come. And there is a lot of flexibility. Instead of a timestamp, we can select a string also. Instead of a timestamp, we can select a string. The message dot the string, the variable name is called as message, and one of the member is payload. So there I'm saying, for example, I'm saying hello VAT, and it can have one topic also. So let us say IoT is the topic. It can be a topic will be there and a payload is there. So I can say done. Now I can deploy this. Let me clear the screen. And once I trigger, you can see hello VAT here. So once I trigger, you can see the hello VAT. And in the message.payload, you are seeing the message payload actually. That's why the payload only it is displayed. But if you go for a complete message object, if you go for the complete message object, you will see the complete data. You will see deploy. Don't forget to deploy it. And if you run, you will see the message ID, payload, and the topic. So every time I run, the ID only will change actually. ID is changing, but payload is hello VAT and topic is IoT. So again I can, but I want to see only the payload because payload is the message. So take this only payload, let us take, and we'll deploy. So every trigger will get the payload. And this also we can make periodic. This also we can make repeaters interval we can make, and every 1 second we can make. So every 1 second it will be repeated. So if I deploy, so every 1 second you will get the hello VAT, like this you will be getting. So you can see it is coming, and I can clear the screen. So every 1 second the string is coming actually. And again, if you don't want, you change the interval to none, and done this. Now only if I trigger only, you deploy this, clear. Only again if I trigger only I'll get that data. Now let us introduce some filter in between. So for example, let us take an example of this change. The change can change the data actually. So it is controlled like this, and you can deploy. And here, so what do you want to do? You can say what do you want to do. I want to change. So what do you want to change? Anything, for example, if it's a small VAT, I will replace with capital VAT, for example. If it is small VAT, I will replace that with capital VAT. And then I can say done here. Now if I deploy and trigger, I'll get hello capital VAT. But for example, if I have hello IoT, So if I deploy and then trigger, there's no change. Hello IoT only is coming. But if it is small VAT, let us say let us say this like this VAT welcome comes you. So if I deploy this and if I can give a trigger, capital VAT welcomes you. So if a small VAT is there, it can change it to capital VAT. So that's what this it can change some of the string. So it can do change, it can do a delete, it can move. So some small operation it can do actually. So the more flexible way of doing things is you can use a function actually. You can use a function like this. So there are so many things to be explored in function. Actually, the function you have to write the function in Java. So to develop a high-level application, you should know Java to use with Node-RED actually. So here again, I will connect both. Whatever the data is passing through the function. Now, if I take the function, I am returning the message. What the function is getting the message and it is returning the message. So now, if I deploy and if I trigger, I'll get VAT welcomes you. I get VAT welcomes you. Because whatever the message it gets, the function is returning that. So that is what we are getting actually. So here in this function, so here let me take like this. Let me set up the message object. So when I trigger this, I don't need to deploy this. Deploy and then trigger this. I will get the complete object. Message ID, payload, and the topic is IoT. So in the function, what I'll do is simply I want to change the topic alone. Message dot topic equals, I will say some other topic. Message dot topic equals networks. So anything else, networks. Now I can say I done here. Now if I deploy and then if I trigger here, now you see the topic is networks. And for example, I will change this message dot payload also. Message dot payload equal to, I'm going to do a small change actually. Message dot payload dot, I'm going to replace small VAT with upper VAT. I'll say done here and let me deploy. And now if I trigger, you will see our VAT welcomes you. Actually the message here is VAT only. VAT welcomes you, but I have replaced the VAT with our VAT. So here, so in this message, if I can select payload around, I can select the payload. So now if I deploy and trigger, let me clear. So if I trigger, our VAT will comes you. So this function can do anything. Inside you can use a if loop, for loop, while loop, and you can take some decision, and accordingly you can create a different control actually. Actually, you can have two different functions also. Suppose I have another function, the same input can go to this function also, and I can have another message load. For understanding that, I can have another debug, and I can give it to the debug here. And in this function, I will I will not do any change actually. I'll say run message only. So now I can deploy. I can deploy, and if I trigger, there are two windows. One is our VID will consume, the other one is VID will consume. So parallelly, you can run a lot of functionalities. In different function, you can implement different functionalities, and a different unit can be triggered in a different manner. So with the help of this, all this block, this is a very introductory section. This will help you to understand how you can wire different components so that the flow you can implement actually. So you have to understand the flow. And here there are a lot of things are there, how to use MQTT, how to use HTTP, those kind of things. That we'll see in the next class.